Good evening, fuckers, and welcome to this update video. So for a few months now, we've had the original Your Requests Here video, but it is now somewhat outdated, and even though there is a list in the pinned comments of the various locos and routes that I have got since doing that video, it's now getting quite long, and if I was to update it with the additional locos and additional routes that I got yesterday at the start of the Steam sale, which is running at the time of recording, then it would be astronomical. So I figured, right, I'll record a new one. Now this is not going to replace the old one, this is going to be alongside it. So when it comes to actually making your requests, you can put the requests either in this video or in the original one. Either of those two is fine. As for what you can request, well, essentially you can request any UK route and any UK diesel or electric locomotive. Of course, there's always exceptions. In terms of the route, there is one route I won't do because it's nothing but shunting, and that also means, or I'd like to think it makes it self-explanatory, that I'm not going to use any shunter locomotives either. But yeah, those are the only exceptions. But yeah, any route or locomotive that is not UK I won't do. And steam, I'm hopeless with steam trains. I did do a video for the 50th of these request videos, and it illustrated quite clearly how terrible I am at driving steam trains. So yeah, steam trains are still out at the moment. Once I've got a bit of practice under my belt and I'm okay with them, then I will allow them. But there will be a video coming along that will, let you know if and when that ever happens. Now, the routes can be anything. It doesn't have to be the full length of the route. It can be any starting point and any finishing point within, that particular route DLC. And if you really want to, you can have routes that will go across more than one route DLC. So let's use the live stream that I did, I think it was a couple of months ago now, as an example, where I did King's Cross to Edinburgh. So of course that had to use 4 DLCs, but at each point where one DLC finished and the next DLC started, I was still at the same, exact same point. So the first time was Peterborough Station. So I went from King's Cross to Peterborough, then I had to, change the quick drive to Peterborough to York, but I'm still starting at Peterborough Station. So, that is certainly doable. I've got no problem with that if you want a route that goes across, more than one route DLC. I will also do career scenarios, but with those, if I've already done it and scored 1,000 points, there's no point me doing it again. So it's highly unlikely that I will agree to do those. If it's one I haven't tried before, then yeah, no problem, I'll give it a go. If it's one that I have done but have not scored 1,000 points, then there's a good chance I'll have another bash. Because yeah, when I'm doing career scenarios, I am really sort of gunning for the 1,000 point max. So yeah, you can request career scenarios with, those sort of constraints in place. Also, just to add, there can be any number of stops along the route. So if you know the route and you know the stations you want me to stop at, then let me know what stations. If you don't know the stations, then you can just say, you know, stop at 2, 3, 4, however many stations along the way. Yeah, I mean, if you want to make it all stops run, then yeah, we can even do that. So, you know, you can be as specific or as vague as you like, down to, you know, choosing the time of the year, the weather, the time of day, and providing I have them, you can even choose the livery that the loco or the train is using. So yeah, you've got plenty of options there. You know, feel free to use as many or as few of those you know, specific options as you like. So let's get down to what trains and what routes are available. This rather gives away my next video. And if you believe that, you're as gullible as, well, something I can only imagine. I mean, if you really think that I was planning my next video to be a steam train that's running at 3:30 in the morning during a storm, yeah. So, right, let's start then with the locomotive options. We do have quite a few. So yeah, I have 20 pages of them, but as I say, I'm not going to be doing any locomotives, any steam locomotives, and I'm not doing any that are not from the UK. So, right, we'll go through these. I've no idea what these two are or why they are here. So there's a class 47, which, yeah, is just labelled as static. This is a class 365 and it's labelled as stopper, so yeah, we'll just ignore those two. Then we have 3 steam trains. So yeah, the first one is the class 205 diesel multiple unit. Has the nickname Thumper. I think a more accurate nickname would be Crate. It really is an old crate, this thing. But it's there. Next is the Armstrong Powerhouse Enhancement one. You know, yeah, I'm not proud of the fact that I have this, but nevertheless, I can't deny they are great. So here we have the class 800, 801, 802 and 803. I have various liveries there. Then here we have the 805 and the 807. So yeah, there's no shortage of class 800 series available. On the next page, you've got a few more steam and non-UK ones. So the only ones on this page that matter, so we have the class 156 DMU, the class 506 EMU. Now this thing, I mean, what I was saying about the class 205 and the nickname of that should be Crate. The nickname I think for the class 506 should be Rust Bucket. This really is a proper, oh yeah. And it's an awkward one to drive as well, so yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. And the same can certainly also be said of the next one, the class 76 BX. I will come back to these two in a little bit, because there is something a bit specific about those, or at least on the surface it sounds like there is something specific about them, but in reality not really. On to the next page. Okay, so we have the first of the well, yet more diesel multiple units. So we have the class 101, class 105, class 111 and 2 class 117s. all of these have manual gears as well. Next one, the class 121, that's another diesel multiple unit and another one with manual gears. It's the last one that has manual gears. First diesel locomotive, the Nyon Prehistoric Class 14. That is by some distance the earliest diesel loco that I have. Then we're back to diesel multiple units, so yeah, we have the class 142 Pacer. Now, in the last video I did with the class 142, I gave it an absolute pasting. I mean, I do hate the things, but I did go a bit over the top. I said, don't bother requesting this thing again because I'm not going to do it. I will do it, but if you're going to request that, then either request a career scenario or make sure I haven't done a run in this thing for at least 3 weeks, because I do find it unbearable. And if I was to just say, oh, okay, yes, I'll do videos with these, I know I will then be inundated by, you know, requests from people who think it's hilarious to keep requesting a train that I can't stand. So yeah, I will do it, but with those conditions. And if you ignore those conditions, I just won't do it. Anyway, next, the class 143. It's another Pacer. It's a significant improvement over the 142, and yet it's still a bit of a shit heap. So, and then we have 5 class 150s. Quite why the liveries have all been, you know, put in as separate locos, I do not know, but nevertheless they have done. And on the next page, yeah, this is the last of the class 150 variants. So then we have class 158. I've got plenty of different liveries for the 158, so, you know, don't think that, you know, ScotRail and Transport for Wales here are the only two. No, there are plenty of others. Class 159, that one I don't have so many liveries for. In fact, that South West Trains one is, I believe, the only one I currently have. The 165, I've got 2 or 3 liveries for the 165, and then the 166, and then the 170. Again, I've got no shortage of liveries for the 170. So these are all still diesel multiple units on this page. Next page, and again we're still with diesel multiple units, so the 172, the 175 and the 180. I mean, the 180 is a diesel multiple unit. In fact, it's also a diesel hydraulic, and it is also a high-speed train. This thing can do 125, or so I've been led to believe. I don't think I've ever actually driven one at 125, but yeah, it is doable. So yeah, I suppose you would have to class that as a high-speed train. Then we are on to diesel locomotives, very briefly, with the Class 20. It's almost become quite the legendary train, the Class 20. Then we are back to high-speed DMUs with the Class 221 Super Voyager. And then we are back to diesel locos with a few of the Salsa engine locos. So we have the 24, Class 25, Class 27 and Class 31. Then we are on to emus. So we have the Class 319, the 321 and the 323. It's still an emu, the Class 325, but as you can clearly see, that is the Royal Mail specific train there, yeah. Back to locos, diesel locos with the Class 33 and the Class 35. 35 is the first of the diesel hydraulic locos. Then we are back to emus again with the Class 350 and the 350/1. There are quite a few variants that I've got of the 350. Not just the stroke 1, there's the 2, 3, I think the 7, but yeah, there's a fair few of them. Then on to the class 360, which is a train that is totally devoid of any sort of charisma or character or anything. It's possibly the most boring emu to have ever run. Carrying on, the class 365, so that's another emu. Then we have a legendary loco, the great class 37 diesel loco. And speaking of legends, we go on to the class 370, the APT. And then we're back to emus again with the class 375 and 377 Electro Stars, the 378 Capital Star, the 380 Desiro, and the 385. I can't remember what the sort of secondary name for it is. So yeah, they are all emus, or specifically they're also like, you know, short distance commuter emus. The 390 here is also an emu, but this is very much a high speed train. That is the Pendolino. We have the other variant here, the Pendolino, right there. 395, most definitely not a favourite of mine. So yeah, that's another emu, another high speed train. Class 40, legendary diesel locomotive. Yeah, it's a great one, that. Back to emus again. Most of these are relatively old in some way, shape or form, and they don't get much older than the class 402. And we have the class 415, class 416, class 419. We then have a diesel hydraulic loco sort of getting stuck in the middle of them all, so it's the class 42, the warship. And then we're back to emus. I've no idea why this image hasn't appeared, but nevertheless, that's a class 421. And then we have, another 421 variant here. The class 422 and the class 423. So, yeah, quite the number of these early, well, I say early, they so like 60s through to sort of late 80s, these emus were all running. And then the emus get interrupted by the legend that is the class 43. Magnificent thing. So yeah, the original high-speed train, Intercity 125, whatever you want to call it. Definitely deserving its place as a legendary original high-speed diesel. Back to emu, so class 442, this is the Gatwick Express liveried version, and this one here is the Network Southeast version. On to the class 444, then another diesel loco, the class 45. Back to emus again, so the 450, two variants there, the 455, 456, the 465 and 466. So yeah, all emus, specifically they're all third rail emus. Then we have the diesel locomotive class 47, three variants there. And then on the next page, two more variants there, including the fictional but fantastic looking version there with the GBR freight livery. Onto the class 483, the old 1930s London Underground stock. This runs exclusively on the Isle of Wight. If you want any Isle of Wight runs done, it has to be in the 483. Onwards to the class 489, which is effectively the first DVT. These things always ran on the back of class 73s. They have no engine, so yeah, you've got to pretty much you have to run these on the back of a 73 when it's running a push-pull service. Then yeah, back to locomotives for a bit. So the Class 50, Class 52, the last of the diesel hydraulics. The legendary Deltic, the Class 55 in BR blue and original British Railways green. Then we have the first of a fair few freight specialists, so the Class 56 there. And as soon as I say the freight specialist, yeah, the very next one is, yeah, these are not freight specialists, these are sort of, well, not so much jack of all trades as master of all trades. The Class 57, which is effectively a Class 47/10. So, yeah, two variants of that. Then we are back onto the freight specialist, starting with the Class 58. Class 59, the Class 60, and then 4 variants of the Class 66. On to the Class 67, definitely not a freight specialist one this, great all-rounder the 67, same applies to the 68. I can say that now that I have the improved version where the emergency brakes don't kick in just because I looked at the brake lever. To the Class 70, this is very much a freight specialist. All these locos, by the way, are all still diesels. So 2 variants here, and as far as I can tell, the only difference is this one has Freightliner written on the side and this one doesn't, and that genuinely seems to be the only difference. Right, so we are now on to electric. So we have the Class 700 EMU. Dual power one, can use the overhead power or the third rail. Class 73, the electro diesel locomotive. The diesel engine is there purely so that it can run in freight yards and, you know, train depots and do like shunting. You're not going to be doing like actual proper runs using the diesel engine, so don't ask it. Then still with electric at the Class 76 and 77. Now these two are on the Woodhead line, as are the 76BX and the Class 506 that I showed earlier and I said I would be coming back to. Now these two and those 2 previous electric locos were designed specifically for the Woodhead line. They use overhead power, but they're using 1500 volt DC, which was unique to the Woodhead line. However, Train Simulator Classic is sort of playing a bit sort of fast and loose as far as the power requirements go, and you can use these 2 and the other 2 locos on any electrified line that has overhead power. They're not just limited to the Woodhead line. Likewise, any other electric loco that is using overhead power, you can run that on the Woodhead line. So the fact that in real life they were using completely different voltages and whatever doesn't matter at all in this. So yeah, they are available to be used on any electrified, overhead electrified line you're fine there. On to the next page, plenty of electric locos here. So the Class 801, this is the Dovetail Games original 801. Yeah, high speed EMU, top speed 125, can easily go beyond that, but yeah, it is limited to 125. And we have the Class 86 and 87 electric locos, the 2 that use the tap changer control. Class 89, there was only 1 ever built, although if you do any runs on the York to Peterborough line, it tries to convince you that there was plenty of them running. Class 90, Class 91, two variants there, both of them, as far as I'm concerned, completely undrivable, completely unplayable. Dovetail games absolutely ruined them. So as much as I hate the thought, I am going to have to get the Armstrong Powerhouse enhanced version of the Class 91. So wait until I've got that before requesting any Class 91 runs, because I'm not driving this utterly unplayable piece of shit. Class 92, magnificent heavy freight electric loco, which is now enjoying a bit of a resurgence with its new sort of role, which is actually the role it was originally built for, which is running Caledonian sleepers. So next one there is Steam, so we'll skip that. This page, yep, none of those are UK, so we'll skip that one. Now on this page, the only thing here that I would use is the ballast tamper, which unfortunately has no picture there. So the DR73 series, I have done a video using the ballast tamper, so yeah, if you're not familiar with it, there's a video there to take a look at. So onwards, the original high-speed train, the Intercity 125, Class 43, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there in all its glory. The Class 222, the Meridian, yeah, another high-speed diesel. Ignore the overhead power lines there in that image. It is a diesel. Well, it's diesel electric to be, you know, completely, you know, on point. So onwards with the Mark III DVT, which is designated the Class 82, but yeah, these run on the back of Class 90. Yeah, trains. Has no engine. It's used to drive or control the Class 90 on the push-pull runs when the 90 is pushing the train. So yeah, it has its uses, but you basically got to run it alongside the Class 90. The Class 460, possibly, in fact it's not even possibly, I'd say it is the worst train to have ever run on the UK network, but in the game it's actually pretty good. So that's another electric multiple unit. This one is, well, yeah, it is the Gatwick Express. The 460 was only ever used as a Gatwick Express. Permaquick personnel carrier, still not ever used this thing. Let's face it, it doesn't look like it's going to rival the APT in terms of acceleration or top speed. And then finally on this page, yeah, this is the West Highland Line version of the Class 37. And on to the final page, just the one here, the London Underground Series 8. Yeah, I have a very, very short section where I can run that, so, you know, yeah, chances are that's never going to appear in any videos. So that is your loco choice. Let's say 20 pages of the things. So as far as the routes, so with the routes we have 7 pages of these. So we start with Birmingham Cross City. Now I'm not exactly familiar with this, but it's, yeah, Lichfield, Trent Valley here through to Redditch. It does stop at yeah, Birmingham New Street here. Unfortunately it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't stop at either Snow Hill or Moore Street. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but yeah, so this means that, yeah, any sort of overground runs to Birmingham New Street, well, we have this option a bit later on if you really want to. But yeah, plenty of options there. But yeah, Lichfield to Redditch is the full length of the run. The next route is Bristol to Exeter. Yeah, as far as starting points, you're not spoilt for choice. You've got Bristol or Exeter, and yeah, the full length. Yeah, the full length run takes you from Bristol to Exeter, or vice versa. But you do have a few other major places along the way. You got Taunton, Highbridge, and Burnham. Doesn't sound like a major stop, but it could be if you are going to be doing a particular run. We'll come back to that in a little bit, I dare say. So Chatham Main Lines and Medway Valley. Now a lot of these Chatham lines do kind of overlap. So this one goes from London Victoria to well, yeah, so you have Chatham, Gillingham, Rainham, but if you are going to Gravesend, then actually if you're going from from London Victoria to Gravesend, that is where it stops. For some reason you can't go directly then from London to any of these stops here, which takes you like Maidstone Barracks and right the way on to Tunbridge. You have to do that as a separate run from Gravesend to anywhere along the actual Medway Valley. Don't ask me why. It's just how it's been programmed. Chatham Main Line, this one is, I'm pretty sure it starts yet again London Victoria, so a lot of these stations all exactly the same as in the previous the previous route. So this one is very unlikely to ever be used. If you're going to do any of these, then unless some of these stations don't or didn't appear in the previous route, which I'm sure they did, I'm sure they all did, then yeah, okay, you've got this as an alternative, but I very much doubt this route is going to get used. The final Chatham one, so this is the Chatham Main Line, which takes you yet again from London Victoria, and this one is quite a long one here, so this will take you right the way out to the likes of, I mean, it does take you to Faversham, takes you to Canterbury, and it then carries on, takes you down to Dover Priory, and then yeah, you got Whitstable, and even like Margate, Broadstairs if you really must, and Ramsgate. So yeah, by far the longest of the Kent routes. Doncaster Works, that is the route that is all about shunting, so don't waste your time requesting that one. I'm not going to do that. Donna Pass is not UK, so yeah, that one is not going to be happening either. So next one, East Coast Main Line, London to Peterborough. Do you really need me to explain this one? So yeah, you take a look there, you'll see all of the various other stations that are available. But yeah, full length is London King's Cross to Peterborough, amazingly. I think they chose that because of the coincidence with the title they gave it. Next one, East Coast Main Line. Not a title that really helps you a great deal. So yeah, this takes you, basically it's York to Newcastle with all the major stops along the way. Only drawback with this one is that for some reason it was set before electrification, so yeah, there is no electric power on this, so you are looking at diesel only for this section. I don't know why, but there you go. On to the next page. So Edinburgh to Glasgow. I mean, do you really need me to explain it? So yeah, here are your stops along the way. Falkirk High is probably the only sort of like major-ish town along the way, whether you are going from Edinburgh or from Glasgow. Falmouth branch line, it's very short. I'm not sure it's even 10 miles. I've done the entire length in one video, so it's a route that was definitely designed with steam trains in mind, but obviously you can use diesels on here, but yeah, that is everything. Five circle line, Edinburgh to Dunfermline. So yeah, you start at, well, Edinburgh Waverley, and then the section between Dalmeny and North Queensferry, that's where the Forth Bridge is. And once you reach, I think it's Inverkeithing, you then have the choice of whether you go, yeah, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Glenross, or Glenross with Thornton, is the station. You're coming in at 6 o'clock. Glenross and Thornton is the station at 12 o'clock. So it's the furthest point, no matter which way round you go. So yeah, if you are coming up from Edinburgh and you are going clockwise, it will take you through Rosyth, Dunfermline, Cowdenbeath, around that way. And if you are going anti-clockwise, it's via Kirkcaldy. By far the more scenic of the two options available to you there. Great Eastern Main Line, London to Ipswich, again pretty self-explanatory. So London Liverpool Street at one end and Ipswich at the other. Plenty of East London and Essex stations along the way. Ipswich, you're barely into Suffolk as you approach Ipswich, so yeah, it's pretty much an Essex route. Does also feature the Braintree, you can see there, yeah, so it does feature the Braintree branch line as well. Glasgow Airport Rail Link. So this is a route that doesn't actually exist. It was proposed, but never actually got built. But yeah, it takes you from Glasgow Central to Glasgow Airport. It's not even 6 miles long. That's probably one that you would add on to the end, you know, doing a whatever sort of run that takes you to Glasgow Central Station. You can add this onto the end of it and say, right, okay, yeah, we'll go to Glasgow Airport instead, you know. As a standalone route, it's going to be a very short video. Glasgow to Dunblane and Alloa. So, yeah, this is probably quite a major station, or a major route, this. So, yeah, again, starting at Glasgow Queen Street, well, at one end anyway, it's Glasgow Queen Street, and you've got the options between going to, going to Dunblane, or I think it's once you leave Stirling, you then have the branch that then takes you over to Alloa. So, yep, that's all your options there. Great Western Main Line. This line takes us, well, yeah, from Paddington. It goes as far as Oxford. There's a few sort of like major sort of towns along the way, but yeah, Oxford is the furthest point. The most important thing though about this line is that it does go to Reading. I'll explain why that's important a bit later on, when we get to the route that makes this important. Okay, well that is not a UK one, so last one on this page is the Huddersfield line, Manchester to Leeds. There's already plenty of videos up with this route. So this is the Transpennine route, so Manchester Victoria at one end, Leeds at the other, and yeah, so you've got, as far as notable stations along the way, Stalybridge, you've got Huddersfield, probably about the only two. So, yep, well-known route. On to page 3, so the next one, the Chiltern line. So this is another London to Birmingham line. But this one starts at London Marylebone and goes up to Birmingham. Well, you've got the option of yeah, either Moore Street or Snow Hill. I mean, Snow Hill is barely any further on from Moore Street, but Moore Street is usually the stopping point on this line. Now you can see your starting points are a bit limited. You've got London, you've got Birmingham, and you've got Banbury, and that is, yeah, all of your starting options. But the finishing options, you've got plenty. You know, you've got pretty much all of the stops there. So, you know, major stops. You got Solihull, you got Warwick, Leamington Spa, Banbury, which yeah, was also a starting point. Bicester, High Wycombe, Beaconsfield, Gerrard's Cross. Yeah, by now we're heading into all the London stops. This is also the line where, yeah, you can do part of the London Underground. It's only the north section of the Jubilee line. So yeah, you can start at Finchley Road and go as far as Wembley Park, but that is it. It's a very small section. Next one is Newcastle to Edinburgh. So again, you are a bit limited on where you can start on this. You can start at Newcastle, you can start in Edinburgh, and you can start at Berwick upon Tweed, but that's it. I should tell you, yeah, you can also start at North Berwick. Yeah, it's a seriously long old run, this. So yeah, there's all your options there. If you are going to North Berwick, then you have to start at Edinburgh Waverley. You can't get to North Berwick from Newcastle, so keep that in mind. Next one, don't know why there's no image there. So this is the Scottish East Coast Main Line. So this one, it's well, at one end you have Edinburgh Waverley again, and it takes you along the Fife Circle line until you reach, I think it's in, no, not in Keating. I can't actually remember which station it is that is where you then turn off the Edinburgh Way, yeah, the Fife Circle line, and then start making your way to Dundee. And then if you are starting at Dundee, you also have the option to make your way to Perth. Dundee to Perth is a lot shorter than the Dundee to Edinburgh Waverley route, but yeah, fantastic scenic route that. So next one is the South Devon Main Line. Now this is the one where, yeah, unfortunately it's chosen a bit of an awkward starting point. So you can go from Taunton to Plymouth or Plymouth to Taunton, but they are your only starting points. So yeah, if you're going to do this South Devon run, yeah, you know, if you're heading southwards, you've got to start at Taunton, but from there, yeah, you've got plenty of yeah, options as far as which stations you are going to finish at. significant number of these stations are stations that appear in other route DLCs I have. Right, so next one is Southwestern Expressways. Now this one is the one that I was referring to when I said about Reading being an important one, because here, because of the sheer size of the area that this route covers, we can go from Reading to Bristol. Now because we can do Reading to Bristol, it opens up London to Bristol, which in turn opens up London to Exeter, London to Torquay, London to Taunton, London to Plymouth, London to Cardiff, London to Swansea. It opens up a hell of a lot of options. So even though there aren't a huge number of like particularly big major cities, I mean Exeter is clearly obviously one, but I've already got that in other DLCs. Newbury Racecourse I suppose could be considered a major one. Taunton, but again I've got that through other DLCs. But it's the fact that it does connect Reading to Bristol, which is the big deal with this one. So I think it's unlikely that there will be many requests for routes that only use this route, but I also have a feeling that this route is going to make it into plenty of requests because of the connection that it offers. So next one is the Kyle line. So yeah, this one, in terms of time taken, I suspect this is going to be the longest run of any of my DLCs. So it's Inverness at one end, and all your various stations, with Cardiff Lockhouse being at the other end. So it basically takes you from completely west to east right the way across Scotland. And plenty of fantastic scenes along the way. So next one is the Wessex Main Line. So this one, this is a bit of a strange DLC, this one, because in order to be able to install this DLC you have to have the Bournemouth to Southampton route. So it's adding this as a extension. And in fact, if you start at Southampton Central you can do Southampton to Bournemouth, this actual route extension here takes us from Salisbury, takes us from Southampton to Salisbury, or vice versa. So and it does look like you can actually do the full length, so you can go from Salisbury to Bournemouth. Must admit, I was not aware that that was an option. That's quite a pleasant surprise, that. So, so you can do the entire Wessex Main Line then, Bournemouth to, well, as much of the Wessex Main Line as there is in the game. Bournemouth to Salisbury. That's a fair distance. So next one, Liverpool to Manchester via Warrington. There are plenty of videos showing this route. So yeah, Liverpool Line Street at one end, Manchester Piccadilly at the other, and there are no shortage of no shortage of stations along the way. But yeah, effectively, yeah, well, it's not effectively, it is. It's Liverpool to Manchester. Final one on this page is London Faversham high speed route. So this one, yeah, you are using HS1. So yeah, St Pancras at one end, the station at the far end is Faversham, but once you've reached Ebbsfleet International, you are at the end of the high speed section. So yeah, Ebbsfleet to, well, I say Faversham at the furthest end. In fact, the furthest end is Sheerness, but looks like you can't actually go to Sheerness from St Pancras. But yeah, Ebbsfleet to either Faversham or Sheerness, none of that is high speed at all. So it's a bit of a misleading name, really. And I don't know why there is no image there either. Rather annoying. So on to page 4, London to Brighton. I mean, do you really need me to explain, you know, London to Brighton? As far as major stations along the way, well, you've got Clapham Junction, you've got Gatwick Airport. But yeah, it does what it says on the tin. London to Brighton. What more do you need to know about that one? So next one is Midlands Main Line, London St Pancras to Bedford. Again, I mean, it does sort of rather, it is rather self-explanatory. So yeah, St Pancras at the southern end, Bedford at the northern end. This line is electrified, apart from if you are going to do Bedford to Bedford St John's. And I have a feeling, actually, if you start at St Pancras, yeah, you can't actually go to Bedford St John's. The only way you can go to Bedford St John's is if you actually start in Bedford. And the distance from Bedford to Bedford St John's is less than half a mile. Why it's in there, I don't know, but it is. So next one is North London and the Goblin lines. So yeah, this one it's a bit all over the place. But so at one end you have Richmond, and at the other end, well, at the other end you have Barking, and then you have like these other sections here. So yeah, you got plenty of options as far as the North London network there with that one. So the next one is North London line. So yeah, I think a lot of this, yeah, again, Richmond and Stratford is where it ends. So there are some differences, but yeah, not a huge amount of them. So yeah, there's your options anyway. So the next one is the North Somerset line. North Somerset Railway. This one, it is very short, there's no doubt about it, but it's a fantastic looking station. So Radstock Station is one end, Froome Market is the other, unless Flowers Farm Station is a bit further on. I'm not sure it is. Yeah, it is a short run. It's I don't think it's even 9 miles long, but yeah, gloriously scenic, no doubt about that. No surprise, it's not electrified, so yeah, you're not running the APT along this one. So next is the North Wales coastline. It really is the whole of North Wales. In fact, you don't even start in Wales, you start at Crewe. Or at least if you're going westwards. And then at the far end is Holyhead in northern, northern Anglesey. So yeah, plenty of options there. So next one is Portsmouth Direct Line. Now this one is identical to the Portsmouth Direct Line, London Waterloo to Portsmouth Harbour. The only difference is this one stops at Woking, whereas this one does the whole length of the route. So yeah, Portsmouth Harbour right up to London Waterloo. So yeah, if you're going to be doing anything along the Portsmouth line, this is the route we'll be using, not the other one. So major stations along the way, Guildford, Woking. I'm not sure if Weybridge is considered a major one. I suppose it could be. Same with Hampton Court. Okay, certainly a major one as far as the tourists are concerned. Clapham Junction, obviously. So, yeah. Final one on this is, on this page anyway, is Riviera Line. So this one takes you, Exeter St David's at one end and Paignton is at the other end. Major stop there is clearly Torquay. So, yeah. So Riviera Line in the 50s, I mean, it's exactly the same route. It's set up specifically for steam trains, but I mean, early diesels can also run that one. So yeah, if you want an early diesel train and you want things to look a bit different, you can ask to have it done on the Riviera Line in the 50s. So the next one is Settle to Carlisle. Again, you know, what more do you need me to tell you? It's settled to Carlisle. Plenty of stations along the way, but few of them are particularly well known outside the immediate area. I mean, Ribblehead, where the Ribblehead Viaduct is. But other than that, yeah. So Carlisle and Settle are probably the only stations anyone really knows there. So the next one is the Somerset Dorset Joint Railway. So the full length is, you start in Bath at Green Park Station, and Temple Combe is the or Temple Combe, I think it is the other end. Plenty of small stations along the way. I very much doubt that anyone outside this area is familiar with any of these locations, but yeah. Bath to Temple Combe is the full length of the run. It is longer than you might think though. So next one is the South London network. So this is another one where it doesn't help that they've got everything in alphabetical order here. So yeah, I'm not sure where the start and where the finish is. So yeah, if you just take a look through the link, you'll find plenty of stations that you are no doubt familiar with. Including London Bridge, it's finally been added. So there you go. That's all your options for yeah, for that one. So next is South Wales Main Line. So there's another one where, yeah, it doesn't actually start in Wales. Well, at least the easternmost point is Bristol, Templemead Station. And it's not until you are at Severn Tunnel Junction are you actually in Wales. So yeah, the first 8 stations are all in England. And then from there, yeah, you are then into Wales. Newport, Cardiff Central, Cardiff Bay, Bridgend, Port Talbot, Nice and Swansea. Plenty of fairly major Welsh towns and cities on that route. So next one is the Southwestern Main Line. Now, to be honest, this one has become a bit sort of irrelevant because, yeah, if you're going to do any runs now, you're going to use the Wessex line because it has all of this in it. So yeah, just use that one. Next one is the 1066 line. So this one starts you, well, yeah, Tunbridge at the northernmost point, and obviously, yeah, goes through to Hastings. So major stops along the way here: Tunbridge Wells, St Leonard's. You got Battle, and obviously Hastings itself. This is a freeware route. Yeah, I've not actually done any runs on it yet, but it looks impressive. So next one, Isle of Wight. Yeah, the butchered remains of the Isle of Wight line. So Ryde Pierhead at one end, Shanklin at the other. A very small part of the island itself that is covered, but yeah, that's everything. It's not even 10 miles. So last one on this page is the Woodhead line. So it is Manchester to Sheffield for some reason. Well, certainly with some trains anyway. If I try to do Sheffield to Manchester, it doesn't work properly. If you're going to or starting at Wath, you have to go from yeah, Manchester London Road there. You can't go from Wath to Sheffield, or Sheffield to Wath. This is the one that is set in the 1950s. So yeah, there's your options there. So next is West Coast Main Line North. Not a particularly helpful description, but yeah, this one basically takes you from Carlisle up to Glasgow Central. You've not got a huge selection of starting points or finishing points for that matter. There are stations along the way, not many of them, but yeah, so it's a long old route, great one for intercity runs. West Coast Main Line over Shap. So now this one, yeah, it's a bit sort of all over the place. So I think the southernmost point is Preston. Yeah, you've got a lot of starting points here, but where you go depends very much on where you start. So yeah, Preston to Carlisle. Yeah, from there, but if you start platform 3, well, you can actually end up at Gretna, so you are going into Scotland. You can certainly go into Scotland from this route, because yeah, you got Dumfries station here, and Annan, so these are all, yeah, so it is a bit all over the place. I mean, you've even got, yeah, you can head to Morecambe. The branch line that takes you to Morecambe though is not electrified, so yeah, you've got to choose which loco you're going to use rather carefully. But yeah, that's all of your options right there. So West Coast Main Line south, so this is the other London to Birmingham route. This is the more standard London to Birmingham route. So yeah, start at Euston, and it can, you've got to make sure you choose the right one. So yeah, it's the fast route, which will take you from Euston right up to Birmingham New Street. Major stations along the way, your Coventry, Rugby, Milton Keynes, Leighton Buzzard, I suppose, Hemel Hempstead, Watford Junction, and then we're very much into London. So yeah, great intercity route, that one. So West Coast Main Line Trent Valley. So this one at the southern end is Rugby, and at the northern end is Stafford. And your major stations along the way are Tamworth and Nuneaton are probably the two most, the two largest stations there. There's not a vast number of stations in terms of like starting points and potential destinations, but there are a fair few smaller stations along the way. So, yep. So next is Weardale and Teesdale Rail Network. So this is another one, it's a bit sort of all over the place. So I think the furthest west is, I think it's Barnard Castle. It's either there or Bishop Auckland. In fact, the more I think about it, I think it is Bishop Auckland. And Weirhead is the furthest east. I don't know the area all that well, so yeah, those in the know can put me right on that. But yeah, that's all your options anyway. Next one, Welsh Marches Line. So this one at the northernmost end is Shrewsbury. In fact, Coton Hill Yard, I think, is the very northernmost point. But that's only if you're doing freight runs. So Shrewsbury at one end and Newport at the other. Considering it's, well, it has Wales in the title, but you don't actually spend a hell of a lot of time in Wales. So as far as the major stations along the way, so you got Hereford, you got Abergavenny, Pontypool, and then yeah, Newport itself. So next is the West Highland Line south. So yeah, Fort William is at one end. I'm not sure which one is the southernmost end. I think it might be Helensburgh, but yeah, don't quote me on that. I did think for a while it was Ardlew, but no, it's not. But yeah, that's your options for that one. Next is West Somerset Railway. This is another quite short one, but it feels a lot longer because the speed limits on here are all quite low. So Bishop Lydeard is at one end, and I'm pretty sure it's Minehead at the other. So yeah, that's your options there for that one. Last one for this page is the West of Scotland lines, Port Road. So this one, yeah, at one end you've got Stranraer, whether it's Stranraer Harbour or Stranraer Town, and then I think the furthest point from there is it's either going to be Gretna Green or it will be Annan, yeah, here. You can even go into England, down into Carlisle, so it could even be that. You've got plenty of options anyway as far as starting and finishing points. So on to the final page. So the first one is we're back at the Woodhead line again. So this is the Woodhead Electric Railway in blue. So this is the line as it was in the 70s. So Manchester Piccadilly, it's no longer called London Road. And I think Dinting is, actually it may go on a little bit further than that, but the actual yeah, okay, yeah, so we have Sheffield Victoria here. But this actual like passenger section, which is, yeah, the Manchester Piccadilly to Sheffield Victoria section, is only a small part of the entire route. If you were to then go into like Rotherwood sidings and that, which is for freight, it's, yeah, it's much further. So yeah, well, there's your options there for that one. The layout is quite different to the layout of the version that's set in the 50s. So yeah, it is very much its own route. So next is York to Peterborough. So yeah, this is very much an intercity route. So yeah, Peterborough at the southernmost end, York at the northernmost end. Not a huge number of stations along the way, so yeah, it definitely is one to really sort of yeah, do your intercity sort of runs with. But it is fully electrified, so yeah, take your fastest high-speed train and away you go. Especially as, because this is the section that has the what they call the Stoke, whatever it is, where you really do get the chance to get your speed way up. So yeah. And then finally, the last route is the freeware DPS Northeast England. Now this one really is all over the place. I did show a map of the area that this route covers at the end of the video where I take the class 105 from Sunderland to Middlesbrough. So yeah, it is very much all over the place, and yeah, your starting points really do dictate where your finishing points are going to be. But there are some stations, as we found out with some of the requests I got, where it is pretty difficult to get there, none more so than Nunthorpe. So yeah, Nunthorpe looks like a place where you can start and it will take you to either Hartlepool, Middlesbrough or Sunderland. But if you then think, oh, okay, right, let's see if we can do the other way round. So you start at Sunderland. No, it's not there. Okay, what about there? Oh, there it is. Okay. But yeah, we were trying to do a run from somewhere like it's either Bishop Auckland or somewhere quite far northwest of this sort of region. That just would not give us the option to go to Nunthorpe. So yeah, you only want to take the look, take a look at the map that I show in that particular video before deciding on a route that you want to choose for this one. It's a fantastic route, especially as it's a freeware one. So, and that is the lot. So yeah, plenty of locos, plenty of routes. So yeah, so now you know what your choices are. Bung your request in the comments and we'll get it done. Incidentally, if you are not sure of which routes have been done or which locos have appeared on which routes and you don't fancy going through all of the videos individually, there is a spreadsheet that was started by Jim Plays, and I've been keeping it up to date ever since. So I'll put a link to that in the description, just in case you want something quick to glance at and see which runs and which locos have been done and which ones haven't. Believe me, the runs that haven't been done vastly outnumber those that have been. So that is everything. So over to you.